In a battle of the West, both EG and G2 square off on the Rift on day 2 of the group stage as both teams hunt to get their first win. Both teams did perform well on day 1, but did not give enough to edge above their opponents, so this is their chance of redemption. As always, if you enjoyed this content, we'd love a sub to support the channel. Let's hop into the draft. Glancing over their first set of bans, EG banned out Aatrox, Caitlyn, and Swain, while G2 banned out Yuumi, Akali, and Kalista. The main standout bans here are the Swain, which is probably an indication that JoJo wants to be able to play aggressive pick so don't have to worry about it, while the Kalista prevents Kaori from being able to play as aggressively in lane and enable himself. Out of the bans, EG opened with Maokai, which is super standard. Strong opener, shows no cards, flexible in most compositions. To respond to this, G2 respond with Sejuani, which is Maokai's boar riding equivalent, as well as Sylas. Compared to yesterday's draft, it seems that G2 wants to take a much more aggressive take in their drafts. It gives them more room in the early game to distinctly prove why they are the better team, so I enjoy the change of pace. For the B2-B3, EG go for a very defensive lane in the various Tahm Kench. With this set of picks, I feel that EG are going for a very reserved style, and ironically because of this, they're actually opening themselves up for manipulation. This is actually a little bit twofold. The first issue is that I believe this might be an incorrect meta read by EG, focusing too hard on sacrificing stronger ADCs in favor of being able to save draft resources for other areas. With so many strong marksmen in the meta right now, it seems weird to have such a high priority on this lane. It's also extremely safe drafting, and it gives plenty of time for G2 to handpick a comp that can penetrate through the various TK. In metas where picks are more narrow, I could definitely say that these lanes generate consistency, but there are so many good picks in the game right now and so much diversity, you may as well try to take control over the draft, pick things that are aggressive, and actually give you ground in the draft as well. This doesn't have to mean picking an AD carry now, or it could actually mean grabbing something else that inspires confidence in your comp. This could even mean just picking Varus by itself. Now knowing about this slow lane from EG, G2 handshake that laning dynamic and just take Aphelios. Now suddenly, I'd argue the onus is on EG to actually play aggressively in this neutralizer lane, because Aphelios can both make this lane non-existent, but also outscale the Varus TK combo. On top of this, G2 haven't even committed their support pick yet, so it just makes it super awkward for EG way too early in the game. If anything, they should have taken Aphelios themselves, and then they wouldn't be in as bad of a situation. Moving into phase 2 bans, it's pretty clear that EG don't have much room for aggression in their draft, considering how reserved their first 3 picks are. G2 actually have some flexibility here because Sylas' champion identity shifts based around the champions picked around him. If you even look at this stage in the draft, he already has access to multiple defensive ultimates. Things like Maokai ultimate and Tahm Kench Devourer are both available to him, so G2 can really take their draft in whichever direction they want. With that flexibility and the ability to counterpick in their remaining slots, these drafts are pretty much set up for them to succeed. G2 end up banning Graves and Azir, while EG remove Renata and Darius. With the Darius ban, I was really anticipating something super interesting on top side for EG here, maybe thinking Fiora or something as well. It's actually one of the only matchups where Fiora gets dumpstered by, so it's possible that Broken Blade had that in the back pocket. Rell is the R4 for G2, and they opt to reveal their style a bit more in favor of playing more aggressively. Most of the time, engage lanes don't really work into TK, but because of the interaction of Rell being able to break through TK's shield with her Q, it greatly increases the kill threat in the lane compared to other engage picks. For the B4-B5, EG wrap up their comp with Sett and Nidalee. The Sett seemed to be a prepared pick for EG to guarantee a strong matchup into Sylas, and on paper that Nidalee actually makes sense because it allows EG to pay for poke. However, this means that Nidalee really only has the Sett to play through, as Maokai is now being flexed to top and the bot lane is losing. To further make this difficult, the Fiora is taken by G2 as the R5, making the matchup super hard to play for impact on top side. At this point, you kind of sit back and see the draft, and you struggle to see where EG can actually win this game. Comp aside, they just have pretty bad matchups on both sides of the map, and they also just get outscaled straight up. EG were given chances to take strong picks and command space in the draft, and they were simply not taking them in this case. Because of these factors, I think it's super hard for EG to actually even play the game, and there's nothing for them to play for, so I rate the draft 70-30 in favor of G2. As always though, hope this draft analysis was helpful to you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay fresh.